Good morning and welcome to another session of Meet the Author. Today I have Charity Ayres with me and she's going to share with us about her book, Loki. Am I saying it right?
Yep, it's Loki Bound.
Loki Bound. Good
Mhm.
morning, Charity. How are
Good
you?
morning. Good. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. It's a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, you're so welcome. So, can you tell our listening audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I currently live in Virginia. I was Navy. I am a Navy veteran. So I'm currently a high school English teacher.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah. So I like to call it my various carnations of life.
Hmm.
So I've had so many different jobs over the course of the years, and it's not because any one thing was just it. I always feel like I have to do two or three different things at once just because I want to experience everything.
Hmm.
So yeah, I did the Navy for 8 years, and I ended up in Virginia because of it. And when my daughter was born, I realized that I really liked working with kids. And English, of course, is my first passion beyond anything else. So that's where I ended up as a high school English teacher.
Oh, wow. Okay. Like, oh, I'm listening to, I'm like, you have a great life. So now, I know that Loki Bound was one of your first books, right?
Yes.
And you have written several books.
Yes.
You've gone from one publisher to another publisher, and your publisher now is William, because I got to interview him last Sunday, which was awesome. We had a great interview.
Yeah,
So
he's
tell
a
us,
great guy.
he's awesome. So tell me about your book.
Well, Loki Bound, I am a huge mythology buff. I've always enjoyed reading about different aspects of mythology. And at one point, it kind of made me curious as to why so many different types of mythology have these kind of interrelated lines of characters. And I
Mm,
know it's part of the human experience. I mean, we
right.
look at things and we're like, okay, well, we need to justify why this happens, so therefore we'll create a deity that works with it. And Loki, of course, is one of my favorites because I like the villains. I'm a person, I like the bad guys. They're so much more in depth. They're so unique. They do so many great things. And the backstory that's with them is just sometimes it's better than the hero.
Oh, wow.
So my thought is, why not make the bad guy the good guy?
Hmm.
Because, they're a little misunderstood. They can do something different.
Right.
So for Loki Bound, the idea is that the old gods never die. As long as we continue to read about them, study them, believe them, they're always in existence in some aspect as a type of energy that can take shape. Loki, of course, is connected to so many different, gods throughout different mythologies. Native American is one of my favorite. Aztec, there's Japanese gods that are trickster gods. Um, and I thought, why not make Loki a woman? Now, this was before
Mm,
Marvel decided to do it, so
right.
I'd like to coin that I did it first, but that's fine. Um, and of course, being a woman, it's more fun to mess with people that way. So why not make Loki a woman?
I'm
So
loving it.
yeah, it's such a fun book. I loved creating it because the character is very snarky and very full of herself about 2 seconds before she trips over her own feet,
Oh,
you
no.
know. So it was a great book to write, and it was a quick one for me because I had finished my first novel length book prior to that one.
Hmm.
And I published that one much later because I had to go back and tweak it a lot.
Okay.
But when I sat down and I wrote Loki, I wrote the first draft of it in less than a month.
Oh,
It
wow.
was crazy.
You must
So
have really been into the writing of it. I'm like,
she just kind of came into my head fully formed and, ready to go. And I loved the voice and I loved being able to write in first person because you can add that extra sarcasm, that extra bite to the character.
right.
And so she has some of me obviously in her, but she was just fun. I'd like to say that You know how we all have that internal dialogue that we kind of keep to ourselves? She doesn't
Hmm.
have that. It just comes out.
It just comes out. She puts
Yeah,
it out.
yeah,
Wow.
absolutely.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, and Loki, I'm like, I want you to go on. I'm like, okay, you're like William. If you're drawing me in, I want to read this book. Okay,
Good.
okay. And I'm going to tell our listening audience to go get a copy. But while you tell our listening audience how they can get a copy, I want to share the book cover. By the way, I want to tell you that's an awesome book cover.
I feel like it's very engaging because it's good representation of Loki because the eyes are, I mean, that's really what draws you in. It's that whole, the eyes are the windows to the soul kind of aspect, and there's this fieriness to it. Loki Bound is available right now on Amazon. I know eventually we're going to have an audiobook version of it available for people who want to
Awesome,
listen to it
awesome.
instead.
Okay.
um, yeah, there's the cover. I honestly, I love that. And if you look at it, you see how there's the shadows
Mm-hmm.
on the top and the bottom. That's actually the city skyline for Norfolk, Virginia.
Oh, wow.
So, which is
Okay.
where this is predominantly set. So it's kind of neat. It links everything back together.
Yeah, I was looking at that book cover, and even the book cover itself makes you want. It gives you that feeling of what's inside this book. I want to read what's inside this book. So I love that book cover. It's really nice.
Thank
Uh,
you.
how can our listening audience get in contact with you?
Well, I have a website. It's author Charity Ayeres, so pretty straightforward. I am also on Instagram if they type in author Charity Ayeres. I'm also on Twitter. Um, or if they'd like, they can definitely reach me through Three Ravens Publishing, which is my new publisher, who they are absolutely amazing. I love them to death. Scott and I met several years ago, William,
Mm-hmm.
and it was at the Chattanooga Liberty Con. He took one of my writing workshops,
Oh, okay.
and he told me this last week that one of the first things you told him is that he has a really good radio voice.
He
Those
does.
were almost the exact same words that came out of my mouth as soon as he started talking.
Wow.
Because he has that presence, and he has this really strong writer's voice that I loved, and we met that in that one workshop, and we've been friends ever since. So
Oh,
yeah,
awesome.
he's great to work with.
And now you got him as your publisher. But
Yes.
I want to stay focused on you. So I know that you have other books as well that you're moving over to his publishing company.
Yes.
Can you tell our listening audience, just give them the title of some of your other books and when those books are expected to be out?
Yes. Ice Burns is pure fantasy. Like Loki Bound is urban paranormal fantasy with a little bit of romance. So it's got a little bit of heat in there and a little bit of mystery. I kind of like a little of everything in my books.
Okay.
Um, Ice Burns is pure epic fantasy. Like you're thinking like Tolkien and, I mean, really that hard fantasy aspect. There's nothing modern in it. There's nothing, it lives in that kind of realm. I also have a young adult one that will come out much later. That one is Secret in the Wings, and that one needs some serious revamp before I'm comfortable with putting it back out.
Okay.
But I have a really interesting one that's going to come out. We're looking at probably around Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Madcap. It is a historical fantasy steampunk novel. So it's got a little bit of everything in it too. Like I said before, I love the mythology. I love history too. So whenever I can kind of add that realism
Mm-hmm.
to backstory, I love doing that. And anyone who ends up liking Loki, you're gonna love Madcap when it comes out because the character has that same kind of snarky, sarcastic, in your face thing. I mean, she's a female pirate. So how does it, I mean, what's better than that?
I love that. She's a female buyer.
Oh
Oh,
yeah, she
wow.
is, she is so full of herself, but she has reason to be. She has, reason to be arrogant, and she is absolutely at this point my favorite character to have written. Loki had a lot of, what pulled me in and kind of allowed me to expand my character
Mm-hmm.
style. Maggie is just amazing. And every time I go into the stories and I work with something, I'm laughing, I'm, building things in. And, it's just been an amazing journey. So that one is looking at Christmas. The second book for that will come out a few months after, because that's the one that I'm working on right now.
Okay.
So probably in the next year, you're looking at about 6 books coming out for me.
Wow.
Some of them being moved over and some of them absolutely brand new.
But and if you're anything like me, you actually visualize or see those characters before you even start writing about them. But you have to get up and say, "Okay, I got to write this down immediately before I lose it," because that's just some of the ways that I write. Well, I want to say, Charity, this has been really great. I definitely want an ebook. So I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to put that out there. I want an ebook of Loki Bound because I can't wait to read that. But,
I think I can hook you up with that.
Okay. Sounds great. But I wanted to have you back. When you put out some of your other books, I want to interview you again. And so we can talk about some of your other books. How does that sound?
That sounds wonderful. Absolutely.
Great. I think it's awesome when we can give other authors the exposure, especially when we're self-published. There are so many authors out there that they write the book, and I had this conversation the other day. I said, we sell to friends, we sell to family, we sell to coworkers maybe, and then we run out of people to sell to.
Exactly.
So having this kind of exposure and this is not just where people can see you locally, but they can see you internationally as well.
Yes.
So, which is really, really great. I'm excited. I want to say thank you for joining us today on Meet the Author.
Thank you for having me so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. And I can't wait till your other books come out. So, Charity, before we end the show today, I want you to tell our listening audience again how they can get a copy of the book and also how they can get in contact with you.
Okay. Amazon right now, for sure. I know later on we'll have it attached to some of the other online platforms where you can get an ebook or a paperback version of Loki Bound. I have my website, which is Author Charity Ayeres. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter. And honestly, I want to say writers together, we have to kind of stand by each other. We have to help each other out. And Instagram, I have talked to so many different writers, and it's a community. It's one of those things that we need to kind of promote each other while we're promoting ourselves. It's something that you want to lift each other up, because the better each one of us does, the more our writing gets out there, the more people are reading, and honestly, it benefits everyone to do it. So I love being part of this community.
Awesome. And I love, when you put it that way, I wanted to say, yes, it is a community. We are a community, and we have to help one another.
Absolutely.
And so by sharing each other's writings and works and what have you, therefore, it helps us to sell more books.
Yes, absolutely.
And so I love that. I love you for just saying yes. You'll be on the show today, and I can't wait to have you back.
Thank you. I had a great time. It was wonderful talking to you.
Wonderful talking to you as well. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You heard Charity Ayeres. She shared about her book, Loki Bound. I'm going to say, don't walk, run, and purchase a copy of her book. Do it now. Okay? Do it now. Until this afternoon, I want to say thank you for joining us on Meet the Authors.